Hey, it's the Empire, Jew Boxing Empire, Boxer Boxing. Now, man, big news, man. Big news. Now, Jermall Charlo, man, he's been they've been talking about him fighting Jaime Munguia, man, the former 154 WBO world champion, and now he's an intercontinental WBO champion at 160, man. Right? Only a few steps away from a for WBO title at the 160 division, and it's wild stuff because I understand that Jaime Munguia is a world championship level because they both have belts at 154. Now, one is a champion at 160, and that being Jermall Charlo, and Jaime Munguia is highly ranked in the WBO. Now, understand that, Munguia was a big fighter, a big dog at 154, but he just got too big for a division. You understand that Jaime Munguia is a knockout artist. The guy has 39 wins, 31 by knockout. So the kid's still young. He's only 25, and he's straight from Mexico, Tijuana, right? So, the guy's tall, at 6 feet tall, power puncher, has long reach. He has everything that can be made to be a star. And a lot of people talk about how Jermall Charlo basically hasn't unified ever in his career. But understand, he's been fighting championship level fighters that, just didn't have the titles at the time, but they were quote unquote unifications, right? Now, if you look at, like, first example, Sergey Derevyanchenko, when he fought Triple G, he should have won that fight, right? When Triple G and Derevyanchenko fought, a lot of people had Derevyanchenko winning that fight. Derevyanchenko should have been a champion, right? He should have had all the belts that Triple G had, but instead they robbed him, and Jermall Charlo ended up fighting Derevyanchenko and completely dominating him. So all that being said, man, that should have been a unification fight, but it wasn't, right? Not only that, Triple G struggled against Derevyanchenko. Jermall Charlo made it look easy, and he controlled him on a jab. So that being said, not only should Jermall Charlo have better accolades, but understand that he's fighting guys that are quote unquote the boogeyman of the division. A lot of people say that, oh, these fighters, they're fighting for these titles and all these Applebit titles, and who was that guy? And oh, you beat a champion, but who was he really? Right? But when you got these fighters fighting the guys who are supposed to be that guy, and we know who the best are because they're robbing him, right? In Sergey Derevyanchenko, for example, right? Yeah, we know he fought a champion, but we know he beat the champion, but they didn't give it to him. But when you have the champion fighting those guys instead, they still want to take the credit away from him, right? They're still going to say, well, so what? Yeah, he beat him, but so what? Right? These are casual boxing fans. These are fans who have an agenda. They don't want to give fighters the credit they deserve. So that being said, man, understand that Jermall Charlo is an elite level champion for sure. He's definitely one of the best in the sport of boxing because there's only very few people in boxing who control fighters with one hand, right? Not only that, it's his offhand, and he's hurting guys with it, right? Now, Jaime Munguia, man, he has some notable wins, right? O'Sullivan, Johnson, Spritz, Meta, Gabriel Rosado, and you can go through his record online, and just look at the guys he fought. Now one notable win for him was the Saddam Ali fight. Understand that Saddam Ali, he beat Miguel Cotto, right? That was a big upset victory. No one seen that coming. And understand that Saddam Ali was that guy, man. He beat Miguel Cotto. I mean, what else do you want, right? There's nothing else to really say. So all that being said, the thing is, after he beat Miguel Cotto, he fought Jaime Munguia next, and Munguia walked through him. Guy could even go past round 4. So understand that Jaime Munguia is beating guys who beat Hall of Fame fighters. So that makes Jaime Munguia an elite level fighter because he's beating. Which one's better, beating the Hall of Fame fighter or beating the guy who beat the Hall of Fame fighter? Right? A lot of people will say that beating the guy who beat the Hall of Fame fighter, beating the man who beat the man, makes you that guy. That's exactly what Jaime Munguia did by beating Saddam Ali, because Saddam Ali beat Miguel Cotto first. So all that being said, man, there's a lot of big things happening in the 160 division. A lot of people saying these guys need to fight each other, and now they're finally doing it. Now there's rumblings that David Benavidez, he's going to be fighting guys up at 168. They're talking about him versus Caleb Plant. We're going to see how that materializes. But yeah, man, these fighters need to be fighting guys in their own division. There's just too many fights at 160 that can be done before they go up in weight. right? Because the only thing that's gonna happen if these fighters are so elite down the smaller weight classes, the only thing that's gonna happen is the whole weight class is gonna go up and they're all gonna get titles, right? Basically, that's what happened when Billy Dos Santos and Canelo Alvarez went up in weight. They both got titles. That's not coincidence. It's because these fighters are not normal fighters. These are the best of the best, right? See, these fighters at 154, most of these fighters, you know, the champions, you know, they go up in weight, man. They're getting these titles, right? Arizona Lara, he's at 160 now. He's close to a title shot now, right? Jermall Charlo already got a title at 160. Canelo Alvarez got a title at 160. And, you know, Jaime Munguia is on the brink of getting a title, but now he's going to fight for one in Jermall Charlo. So, man, this is a big deal, man. You know, this is what boxing's all about. Too many big fights to be too much money on the table to just walk away, right? Jermall Charlo's name has been tied to Canelo. It's been tied to Dave Benavidez. It's been tied to Jaime Munguia, Demetrius Andrade, Daniel Jacobs. It's been tied to a lot of big names. And he's such a big deal. People are mentioning with all these fights because he's an elite level fighter. Let's just not play games because he's an elite level fighter, and we gotta search multiple weight classes and find multi-division world champions or superstars at the time to even give this guy somewhat of a challenge. So, man, that being said, man, Jermall Charlo is fighting a big name in Jaime Munguia. I do think this is the biggest Mexican fighter he ever fought as far as accolades go and accomplishments go, right? So Jaime Munguia versus Jermall Charlo, man, that's definitely a big fight. I don't think I ever seen the best of Jaime Munguia. He's been under the radar for some time. This is definitely one of his biggest fights for sure. He hasn't really been on a big stage like a Jermall Charlo, you know, but it goes both ways. These are both the biggest names in both their records. So we're going to see how this whole thing plays out. Right? That win that people sleep on with Jaime Munguia, like I said earlier, was the Saddam Ali win. I think that was a big win. That was a win that actually got him the WBO title in the first place, and in the light middleweight title, right? Like I said, Saddam Ali beat Miguel Cotto. And then the fight that people are sleeping on with Jermall Charlo is the Julian Jack Williams fight, because he became unified champion after beating Jarrett Hurd, and then that fight with Yanchenko when he beat Triple G, but they didn't give it to him, right? And then he dominated both those guys. He knocked out Julian Jack Williams for unification, and then he beat Yanchenko complete domination with one hand. Wild stuff, man. Wild stuff. So anyway, man, you know, this is gonna be a big thing for 160. There are a lot of big fights are happening at 160. I've been hearing rumblings of Triple G versus Inoue, or some Japanese fighter. I think I'm pretty sure it's not Inoue, but it's a Japanese fighter, Takashi, something. I don't know. But you know, I'm not even gonna try to pronounce his name. But anyway, you know, Triple G's fighting for unification. And he had a lot of big fights are happening in middleweight. This is one of those fights. This is definitely a pay-per-view fight. So, you know, I'm glad these big fights are finally happening at middleweight. And yeah, man, this is the only way to become a star, really. You know, you're gonna have to fight a big name at some point in your career. You know, you can only get so big outside the sport without really fighting somebody big inside the sport. Eventually, you're gonna have to see someone that's on your level or close to it. This is that guy for Jermall Charlo, and this is that guy for Jaime Munguia. They both need it to really elevate each other. So anyway, man, this is a big fight. Let me know how you guys feel about it, though. Like, comment, subscribe. This is the Empire, Geoboxing Empire. Peace.